Okay, so are we beginning to commend ourselves again? Or do we need, like some people, letters of recommendation to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everybody. You show that you are a letter from Christ, the result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. Such confidence as this is ours through Christ before God. Not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. And this is the thought that we often dismiss because we are still attached to the formula. We want people to tell us what's right, what's the right behavior, what's the right thing to say, what's the right way to think. But we have to move away from that, and we've been given license to do that. And we are going to develop a relationship and follow through using our senses to listen, and that goes beyond ears. But we are going to kill the letter and embrace the Spirit. So, but anyway, back to some of the things that I was mentioning about consciousness as co-creators. Moving from openness into love and liberation requires us not only to be friendly neighbors, but co-creators of social order. We have to become aware of and enact thoughts and practices which lead to our progress, and then also overcome some thoughts that are self-limiting and other attachments which hinder progress. So social evolution is as critical to survival as biological evolution, and we cannot be successful when it's on default. A co-creator means that we really have to be active in our thinking, examination, and decisions about how to really, move forward, how to really choose. So, and this really applies to both the religious and secular worlds. We know that religious, ethnic differences, and political dominations are the number one reasons for war in the world. But we haven't actively found the ways to disarm one another in these areas. So, we're going to move toward a cultural exchange with religion. We have to take religion away from its protected status. Right now, it tends to be an entity that's an exception to common knowledge. If you're a Christian, you'll stay with Christians. If you're Buddhist, you're only going to examine Buddhist thought. If you're a Hindu, then you're going to examine Hinduism. Where's the cultural exchange? So religion operates in a lot of isolation, but with countries, we're familiar with cultural exchange when it comes to countries. We've incorporated yoga into our health practices, as well as the many concepts of mind, body, and spirit that go with yoga. We really embrace that. India has opened up gay bars and incorporates more of our notion of civil liberties. That's an exchange. We've added pluses to one another's culture through actual exchange. If Christianity was a country, if Hinduism was another, we would be incorporating elements of their practice that we find helpful, and they would do the same. So I think it's really time to start thinking about our religion as a home base, as our country, and we're going to reach out to other countries, other religious countries, and we're going to find something that we can embrace and incorporate that. Because without that, we will never get past these wars that are fought on religious fronts. So, our religious cultural exchange, I'm going to start with, like I said, a concept from Buddhism, which is non-attachment. So it's not enough to talk about peace and unity. How are we going to get there? We are going to build these bridges today, here and now. We are going to work on this concept of non-attachment. Like I mentioned, it's enjoying attachments, but never allowing our attachments to own us. And here's a quick quote from Peter 2, chapter 2, and line 19. They promise them freedom, while they themselves are slaves to depravity. For a man is a slave to whatever has mastered him. And I want you to take this thought and apply it, not just to the leaders around you, the political system, but to food, to your emotions, to thoughts, anything that you are or become a slave to. So the concept of non-attachment, Buddhists have explanations from the Buddhist front are that Buddhists have an outlook of non-differentiation. They kind of apply an even sense of appreciation to all things. And being attached to something means to recognize something as an other, and they choose not to do that. It's an act of will. An act of will is consciousness, and that's what we're really working to cultivate. Another explanation for this belief or concept in Buddhism is that attachments are the cause of suffering. The push and pull of desires being lost or obtained is a cause of suffering. So in any case, we can see that the idea of not being owned, not being a slave to anything, does lend itself to the pursuit of liberation and love. We can see this applying to all the areas that I mentioned. Emotions, ideas, ideology, beliefs, individuals, and things. Food. Apple pie. So if we turn this belief into practice, it's going to be a long-term practice. It's not easy, but we can do it. So it can be one of the most powerful tools for diplomatic disarmament, severing us from the attachments to beliefs and values that have put our progress on hold, leading to deaths of millions through war. Many would agree that, for example, the U.S. had fuzzy reasons for going to war with Iraq. That one of the reasons we can imagine is that we're attached to the image that the U.S. is indomitable. So then it became reasonable to avenge the death of thousands on 9/11 with the death of hundreds of thousands through war. By liberating our thought processes from attachments, we will have the opportunity to see that many of our conflicts are based upon ephemeral, not permanent ideas, just circumstances, a belief in a set of events, a belief in an individual, a belief in our own power. So we become attached to the circumstance and we forget about the message. So we're no longer taking away the wisdom. We become attached to the circumstance. Whatever vehicle carried the wisdom, we become attached to it instead of the wisdom itself. And through cultivating awareness, we'll learn to recognize when we fall into that trap every time. So the messages which do lead us to progress and help us